Hi and good morning to everyone. So this is our lesson for today. It's more about a culinary journey through French cuisine, and it's more of discovering the art and tradition of French gastronomy. And the lesson that we have is very important for us to gain knowledge para sa ating laboratory and lecture. To start with, so, babalikan natin yung tinatawag na history and foundation of French cuisine. So, we have our lesson a few months ago about the history and foundation of French cuisine. And it includes the medieval period, the early 20th century, and the 20th century up to the present. So, what does it imply? Actually, it's more of what we call the tradition and foundational because it French cuisine is more on enduring legacy, which means it is rich in history that has profoundly influenced global culinary arts. Another one, when we talk about history and foundation, it has what we call dynamic evolution. So this evolution includes the continuous adaptation and blending of heritage with the modern trends and innovation and adaptation, of course, of the French cuisines. So when we talk about the medieval 17th century, so di ba sabi nga natin from the humble regional fare to the refined banquets, it was actually being heavily influenced by the royalty. So if we can see on to the past lectures that we have, so makikita natin na talagang yung royalty cuisines ang nakikita natin, 'di ba? So we have as well the cuisine bourgeoise and other royalties which are being used in the French cuisines. During the 19th century, so nakilala natin si Marie-Antoine Karim, okay? The King of Cooks and the Cook of Kings. So sabi natin, so siya ang sinasabi nating one of the prominent person of during that time because French cuisine during the royalty during that time is one of the most important thing when it comes to cookery. So, ano ba ang ginawa ni Karim? 'Di ba? So, the King of Cooks and Cook of Kings. Ano bang ginawa niya? Ginawa niya is more of what we call the creation of our chef jackets, chef uniforms. So nagkaroon tayo ng mga chef uniforms, nagkaroon tayo ng mga kitchen tools and equipment, and the system inside the kitchen is being produced by Marie-Antoine Karim. So one prominent thing na ginawa rin niya is the production of sauces. So if we look on to the sauces itself, so titingnan natin, so kung makikita natin na gumawa siya ng tinatawag na what? The mother sauces that we have. Yeah? So, plus the use of what we call the thickening agent. So, this thickening agent involves roux, the classification. So, meron tayong mga iba't ibang klase ng roux. So, kung titingnan natin, so if we are going to look onto it, so hanapin natin. So, buksan ko lang tong word. Ayan. Para meron tayong board. Okay. So, ano ba ang ginawa niya when it comes to Karim? So, Karim during his time, ano ba yung mga ginawa niya? Ginawa niya is what we call the foundation of what we call thickening agents. And these thickening agents includes thickening agents includes the formulation of what we call roux. And roux, however, is a combination of the flour plus fat, which is actually being cooked. So, ang kailangan daw ay kumuha ka ng isang flour at isang fat just to cook them and to bind them para maging isang roux. And what it implies is this is a super, okay, mas talagang heavy kapag ginamit mo siya, especially if you have flour and fat. Then you combine it with a liquid, then it will be a thickening agent. And to classify that this thickening agent is actually important, it's because of its composition. So kailangan maluto siya so that it will be affect the consistency of the sauce. So if we are going to cook this one, so meron tayong different classifications. So we have the white roux, we have the bland roux, and we have the brown roux. So if we classify this one, white roux is being classified, or white roux is being used for what we call bechamel sauce, diba? So next one is what we call bland. Bland is using for velouté, and brown is used for the brown sauce, which is what we call Espanyol. So ito po ay ginagamit natin, okay? Parang nagre-reveal lang tayo na ito yung nasa last meeting natin. Nakuha po. Then here comes Escoffier. So when we say Escoffier, kung ano bang ginawa ni Escoffier when it comes to the history and foundation of French cuisine, is more of what we call the kitchen brigade. So Escoffier more of what we call the kitchen brigades. So the kitchen brigades actually provides a good system in the kitchen because of the hierarchical level of it. Now, the executive chef down to Commis is actually one of the best things na nagawa niya. So, when we say Escoffier is the emperor of the world's kitchen based dun sa mga previous lesson natin. Then, he simplified the work of Karim. So, Karim is more of what we call the haute cuisine, and haute means what we call the grand cuisine, while on the side of Escoffier classified this one as, so sabi niya, medyo pasimplify natin ng konti yung grand cuisine. Masyadong intricate yung grand cuisine or yung haute cuisine, so we have to simplify this one. But the formulation of sauces evolved because of Escoffier. So nagkaroon ng mga baby sauces. What sauces did they do? So from the 5 major sauces na meron tayo, which is the white sauce, which is the bechamel sauce, for example. So we have bechamel sauce. So lagdagan natin ng cheese. Okay, so plus the cheese. Okay, so plus cheese is equals to Mornay. So the formulation of that sauces evolves naturally sa French cuisine. Plus, of course, yung Espanyol natin. Okay? For example, the Espanyol, you have to reduce the Espanyol, then it became a demi-glace. Okay? Then, another one is what we call yung tomato sauce natin. The tomato, lagyan natin ng meat, it became sa bolognese. Diba? Then we have what we call the hollandaise. Okay, lagyan natin ng mga herbs and spices yan, for example. Sorry. Yan. Herbs and spices. Then evolves into a different sauce again. Then, of course, we have what we call the velouté. So, lagyan natin siya ng cream. Then, it became supreme. Yeah. So, what Escoffier did during this history and foundation actually helps the modern French cuisines that we have right now. And it's being applied in the mid-20th century and down to present, because the movement from the haute cuisine to cuisine bourgeoise of Escoffier is actually being lighter nowadays because of kung babalikan natin yung lesson natin from the past, is the foundation of for example, this foundation of the what do you call this? Sinong chef yun? Si Fernand Point and of course Ranhofer. Okay, so sila, ginawa nila is the foundation of what we call the nouvelle cuisine. So sabi nila, sige, gawan natin ng isang cuisine pa. Okay, so this is what we call nouvelle cuisine. Nouvelle cuisine involves what? Involves lighter, okay, and simple dishes. na nagpo-focus sa local produce. Okay? So this local produce involves what? Simple and lighter food na ginagamit ngayon for the mid and 20th century up to the present. Okay? Next, if we have what we call pillars in the tourism industry, we have also pillars in the French gastronomy. So sabi natin, when we talk about gastronomy is the art of using food to create happiness. Okay, so kung babalikan natin yung tourism studies natin, we are going to one place to another because we want to get the full details of a specific place. For example, so pupunta tayo sa place na yon not because of the view, because of the heritage, but because also of the food itself. So dito nabuhay yung tinatawag na gastronomy or food tourism. Now, when we talk about French gastronomy and its pillars, it focuses more on the quality of ingredients, the fundamental techniques, the three ingredients that they have, the butter, the cream, and the wine, and the balance of flavors. The quality of ingredients, as we said a while ago in the 20th down to the present time, is meaning that you use the local, the fresh, and the seasonal ingredients. It emphasis on freshness and seasonality. So, syempre, mas mahalaga yan, di ba? Locally sourced produce or ingredients. And another one is what we call the foundation for exceptional taste. So, French people or French cuisines, especially the art of cooking for French, is most reliably be done on what we call the cuisine of it must be tasteful. Why? Because they use what we call the richness and depth of the ingredients. Butter, 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 cream, 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 wine, wine, wine. Okay? So yung tatlong yan ay mahalaga. Sabi nila, butter, when you want to make the food much more tastier and rich, you put butter on it. Okay? You put cream on it and you deglaze it with wine. So this is the core to rich sauces and dishes. And sauces and dishes for French cuisine are very important. It adds depth, complexity, and integral to culinary identity. So mahilig talaga silang mag-sauces, no? Then another one is what we call the precision and mastery of the subject. Okay, mastery of the food, precision and mastery of the food, which include the fundamental techniques. So we have a lesson about the methods of cookery, di ba? Pinakita ko yung charts sa inyo na the methods of cookery are very important because of this one. So you have the moist heat cooking method, you have the dry heat cooking method, and you have the combination cooking method. You have the microwave and the infrared as well. Then why it is important? Because it enhances the natural flavor when you are cooking the food. Aside from it, the French gastronomy pillars includes balance of flavors. Why? Because it includes harmony and texture. So sabi natin, dapat kapag nagluluto tayo, dapat harmonious interplay of taste. So there is what we call the balance of taste. There is a combination of taste. Then it creates a sophisticated experience and diverse texture for sensory pleasure. Now, if we are talking about that one, kasi sa Asian cuisine, sabi natin, ang mga flavors natin is more of what we call savory. Di ba? So, if we look onto that, on the western sides, is totally different because it's more of what we call creaminess. Okay? Creaminess and richness of the flavor. Ayan. So Asian, so savory. So we have what we call the 5 taste, di ba? Ano yung mga 5 taste natin? But this one is more of what we call the sensory quality. Ayan. So if we talk about the taste and the flavors and the sensory quality of the Asian and the French cuisine or the European cuisine is totally different. How they execute those things are totally different. Now, if we are going to act, okay, so titingnan natin kung paano ba is, kung ibabangga natin kung paano ba is balikan natin, for example, yung taste natin. So we have salt, sweet, spice, sour, and bitter. So we have 5 tastes. Pero pagdating sa Asian, we have what we call savory taste, and we have what we call the sixth taste. So, ano yung sixth taste na yan? So, the sixth taste is what we call umami. Diba? Umami comes from the word umay, means it's delicious. Tama? So, masarap. So, umami is a Japan word. Diba? Now, creaminess and richness of the flavor when it comes to butter, cream, and wine. So, ito naman yung panlaban. Okay? Panlaban ng French gastronomy. So, there's what we call balance, fundamental of techniques, and quality of ingredients when it comes to the pillars of French gastronomy. So, lagi niyong tatandaan yan. Another example, so pag nag-lab tayo, okay, ay magawa natin to, no? So, these are the basics that we have to learn from the French cuisine and the regions and their culinary specialties, especially this one. Nakuha? So, from the North Strait of Calais or the Dover of France, okay, sorry for the term, okay, Nord Pas de Calais, okay, is what we call the carbonate flamand. Okay, so, flamand, so, sorry, hindi ko ma-pronounce siya ng tama, pero I hope that we can get the idea. So, this is more of what we call the beef stew. Okay, so if we going to look back to the foundation of the culinary techniques and foundation of methods of cookery, we are going to learn that this is more of what we call a combination cooking. Okay, so the beef stew is one of the thing na niluluto din, okay, ng Frances. Another one is the mole frites or mussels and frites. So tahong, no? Tahong at saka mga fries. So, sa kanila, okay na yon. So, you have sauté mussels, okay? So, parang sa atin, tinola, no? Tinola and fries. So, parang ganon. So, gagawa rin tayo nito. So, I hope that we can do this one in our laboratory because it is one of the classic dish ng Frances. And when we go to the Normandy side, so we have what we call camembert, which is being used in some of the wine tasting, of course, and some of the dishes. So it is made of a cow's milk cheese. So, camembert, and it is actually available in the market. So, makikita natin yan. Next is what we call tart tatin or caramelized tart. Inclusions is, this one includes, especially yung mga fillings niya are apples, okay, pero a short crust, and ayan, so magagamit natin yan. Another one is what we call cider. Cider is more of what we call a fermented juice. One example is what we call apple cider. When we go to Brittany, so we have what we call crepes and galettes. And crepes are thin pancakes. So these are unleavened dough. So kung nakagawa na tayo ng mga pancakes before sa atin, okay, crepes are thin layer of pancakes which are unleavened. Pero dalawang klase, no? So, isang savory pancake tsaka isang sweet pancake. So, we have crepes and galette. And of course, they are more of what we call seafood. So, tingnan natin kung anong mga seafood ang magagawa natin sa laboratory. Another is what we call burgundy. One classic is what we call beef bourguignon. So, it's more of a braised beef in wine than it's being stewed. So, mahilig sila sa ganun, ano? And the last one is what we call cocoa bean. It's a rooster in wine, okay, or a chicken in a red wine sauce. Yan. So, tingnan natin kung paano natin gagawin yan. Just to give you the snippet or the background na pwede natin magawa inside of the laboratory. So, sana ay maging mahaba pa yung magiging laboratory natin. From when we move to the southwest, okay, we have to deal with foie gras. Okay? It's more of what we call the fat liver of a goose. So, this one is available in some market dito sa atin. So, we have to look one specialty store na nagbebenta ng foie gras. And we tend to do as well the cassoulet. This is a white beans slowly cooked with meat and herbs. So, para siyang a stew white beans. Yan. So, lulutuin din natin yan. And of course, the confit, no? So, kung hindi man tayo makahanap ng duck confit, magkaroon tayo ng chicken confit or chicken a la orange. Okay? So, it's more of what we call, kung pagbabalikan ulit natin yung methods of cookery natin, makikita natin doon na how do we cook the confit. Okay? Confit method. So, fully submerged in oil, slowly cook in fire in an oven. So, tingnan natin, no, kung paano natin gagawin. And when we go to the French Alps region, so, syempre, ito yung isa sa mga sikat na dish, no? Ratatouille or vegetable stew, and of course, the bouillabaisse, okay, which is what we call the fish soup in tomato base. So, sabi nga nila, di ba, in France, cooking is a serious art form and a national sport. So, mahalaga sa kanila yung pagkain, so that hindi naman nila sasabihin na the food itself or the gastronomy ay sa amin yung unang claim ng restaurant industry. Ayan. So, if we go back again to our previous lesson, so, ang French claim nila, we are the first one to establish the restaurant industry, and no other country did that. Nakaha po? Ayan. And if we are going to look, so this is very interesting, ano? If we are going to look to the traditional French meal structure and etiquette, ito yung isa sa mga snippets, okay? Ito yung isa sa mga summary of what they have done is this one. So we have what we call the aperitif, meaning nagkakaroon tayo ng small portion or welcome drinks para sa mga ano natin, no? Sa mga food natin. So, normally, ito yung mga cordial, a starter drink, hindi starter food. And another one is we have what we call entree. So, ano ba ginagawa ng aperitif? Aperitif means, kiniklean niya yung palate, okay? So that, kapag kumain ka ng entree mo, ng first course mo, ng light start mo, is okay yung mga flavors na matitikman mo. Nako, And, of course, we have also main course. So, after the entree, ito na yung main course natin. Ito yung heart of the meal. This is the signature dish that we have. Okay, nandito na yung mga big meals natin. Okay, so ito yung star of the night kung tawagin. So, these are the main course. And after the main course, they have what we call cheese courses. And aside from this one, main course and cheese courses this is the French essential to digest the food. Okay? So, kapag nga nakikita natin sa mga French table natin, laging may glass of wine. Red meat goes with red wine. White meat goes with white wine. But nowadays, they adapting the changes as well. So, it doesn't mean na white na siya is white wine. So, yung iba, naghahanap na rin ng iba. But, of course, if we are going to look for the traditional way, red meat, red wine, white meat, white wine. Okay. Another is what we call dessert, a combination of coffee and dessert. It is what we call the sweet ending. They have what we call patisserie delight for this one. So, kapag kumain ng full course meal na natin, so the sweet ending comes with dessert, with pastries. Of course, ang kasama niyan ay what we call coffee. Why? Because this one is the post-meal ritual na, sige, ito na yung panahon na magre-relax tayo and unwind to enjoy the full meal that we have at the night. Okay? So, this is the traditional French meal structure and etiquette. And I hope as well for our laboratory that we are going to do this iconic French dessert and pastries. Yan. So, since we are learning the basics will include this one. One is macaroons. So, sabi nga natin, ang mga macaroons ay colorful, delicate, and iconic. So, it has a creamy feeling. So, tingnan natin kung magagawa natin, no? So, the ovens are working naman, so we have to deal with the macaroons as well. And we have what we call eclairs and millefeuille. Okay? Or millefeuille and millefeuille. Okay. These are 1,000 sheets, so these are puff pastries. They are classic, they are layered, they are elegant, and which are rich. So sabi nga natin, di ba? Rich and exquisite texture and a balanced flavor. So ito na yung mga croissants natin na meron tayong mga small pastries with all layers. Okay? Na makikita natin pag binake natin na crunchy and creamy and filling. Another is what we call the creme brulees. Creme brulees meaning creme, custard, and burnt. So may sugar tayo, then we put fire on it on top. Tapos yun ay i-burn natin to caramelize. So this is a classic dessert in France, which is what we call a creme brulee. And of course, chocolate mousse. Okay? These are timeless sweet treats. Chocolate mousse is rich, smooth, and comforting sensation when it comes to food. Kasi ini-indulge natin, binibilove natin yan. So, ito yung mga sweet endings na normally na iconic French dishes, iconic French desserts and pastries that we have to work on para sa ating laboratory. Okay. So, if we are, okay, going to classify or to look on French cuisines today, there is what we call innovation and influence, no? So, ano ba yung ngayong sumisikat? Sumisikat na yung Michelin stars and influence. So, these are the guides for the restaurants and hotels na meron tayo. Why? Because it has what we call global chef recognition, cultural exchange, and standard of excellence. So, pag nandito ka daw sa guide na daw, sa Michelin Guide Stars, sa Michelin Guide Stars, you are prestige. Okay, meron na ba sa Pilipinas dito? They are working on it dito sa Manila and Cebu. But I hope, kasi itong Michelin Star Guide is one of the prestigious guide of all time. Another is what we call the timeless tradition of the modern twist. So sabi nila, cuisine evolves but its soul remains distinctly French. Kasi nga, di ba, sinasabi nila, French cuisine is a journey through history, flavor, and artistic expression. And it actually continually inspire the word of it. Kasi nga, di ba, during the history time, kung babalikan ulit natin yung mga lecture natin, so kami yung unang restaurant ganito yung ginawa namin dati. So, we honor the prestige and we honor our heritage. So, if we talk about heritage, of course, a living heritage, di ba? Why? Because a knowledge and craftsmanship, a social practice and ritual, intangible cultural heritage, this is a practice of French cuisine. Traditional and classical. So, ginagamit pa rin, ano? So, a living heritage, a modern twist kasi they adapt, of course, a guide. Because they tend to make French cuisine classy, no? So, dun sila nabuhay. So, classical French cuisine. So, eto tayo. And last but not the least, no, so question and discussion. So, if we have some questions and discussion about it, you can always visit the Facebook page na meron tayo. We talk on to the messengers and we talk on to the laboratories that we have, because the more we share, the more we engage, okay, on our dishes, it is important to know that every one of us is still a learner. So, hindi man tayo bihasa sa French cuisines na meron tayo, but books are there to guide us, videos are there to guide us, and we are there, okay, para ayusin at matuto dun sa mga gagawin natin. So again, with all the lessons that we have from this one, kasi super short lang, no, 1 hour, and I hope that this short lesson, this is snippets, okay, of lessons that we have, ay matutunan natin. So, yung mga records natin ng mga lessons, so babalikan lang natin yung mga previous lessons natin para malaman natin na ito pala yung mga tumutugma dun sa mga lessons na yan. So again, thank you so much and salamat. And this is more of more of the culinary journey to the French cuisines that we have. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy and you learn some new things about French cuisines. Salamat.